Hello friends, my name is Leigh and I create videos about photography as an art and as a lifestyle. I recently shared a video reviewing the new Nikon Z50II. I will link to that video in the description of this video, but I have an update. I purchased it. I know I said we weren't going to, but the problem with having two photographers in the house is that when we both like gear, we can pretty much talk ourselves into things pretty quickly. So I'll talk about how we talked ourselves into the Z50II and also the lenses that we will be using with it, and also what we are selling to help pay for it. I have used all of the Z cameras. We own and use the Z7 and the Z9 often. Those are both full frame bodies. Raymond and I also owned the Z6 and the Z50. We sold both of those because they just weren't getting enough use, so we have wished we kept the Z50 from time to time. Then I purchased a Z30 a couple of years ago for capturing B-roll and vlog style footage in the field. It has the flip screen, the one that totally flips around, which the Z50 lacked. It had a flip screen that only flipped down, which wasn't ideal when it was on a tripod. Plus, this Z30 has a better microphone. But because it lacks a viewfinder, Raymond hates using it, which has been a challenge when he has helped me capture footage in the field. All of that being said, all of the Z cameras are still amazing for most uses. So I said in my review video for the Z52 that I wasn't going to purchase it because of the Z30, plus a number of other cameras that we have and I do use for B-roll. However, then Raymond used the camera at the Grand Canyon, and then for an evening in downtown Flagstaff, Arizona, he captured some B-roll of me for another video, and the light bulb went on for him. So he said, what can we sell to purchase this? And darn it, I already wanted the camera. It brought everything together for both of us in terms of a compact body for both work and for play. So we made some tough choices so that this guy can come live here. More on that in a minute. First, I want to thank the sponsor of this portion of the video, Viltrox. You have seen me using Viltrox lenses for many years on different brands of cameras. I chose Viltrox over lenses from the camera brands a number of times. Our 85mm f1.8 lens for Z-mount, for example, I don't see the need for the Nikon version, and I've used this lens extensively for both photo and for video. But this latest lens that I have used is the Viltrox 35mm f1.7 Air for Z-mount APS-C bodies. I adore this lens. 35mm on an APS-C sensor gives you a full frame equivalent very close to 50mm. Many of us have heard the term Nifty 50 because it is a very popular prime lens focal length. In fact, a lens like this is often what I recommend for someone after you purchase your initial camera body and kit lens. 50mm is what is called a normal view, which means that what you see through your viewfinder is just about the same amount that you see with your eyes. It's a great field of view for all sorts of photography, from street photography to portraits to simply walking around and capturing the world around you. And this little prime provides amazing image quality even at that very wide f1.7 aperture. These images are JPEG files straight out of the camera, captured at f1.7, handheld at night. Raymond actually captured these as I was using another camera for a future video, and this was when he started saying that he wants the camera. Now, we do own the Nikon 35mm f1.8S, which is a full frame lens, but look at the size difference here. The Viltrox lens, engineered for the APS-C sensor, is simply a wonderful fit for the very compact Z52 at a third of the price. And we have been nothing less than delighted with the image quality. So I will add a link to this lens in the description of the video. It is on pre-sale now and it is discounted. So definitely get over there to snap it up. I should mention that Viltrox is also making this for E and X mount in addition to Z mount. So Thank you to Viltrox for sponsoring this portion of the video and for sending us this lens because it is amazing and we'll be getting a lot of use here. Okay, so the little 35mm lens is what tipped us over the edge into purchasing the Z50, but we do own a couple of other APS-C lenses that we will be using on this camera, and there are one or two others that we may invest in. The first is the 16 to 50mm kit lens, which I purchased with the Z30 here. I am 99% sure that I'm going to keep this for vlog footage when I just want to hold the camera out in front of me. The 16mm wide end of the range provides a full frame effective field of view of 24mm, which is good for that style of shooting. There is the possibility that instead of keeping this kit lens, I will purchase the Sigma 16mm f1.4 DCDN contemporary lens, which I used on my Z30 when it was announced, and it could take the place of the Nikon 16 to 50mm for vlog footage. It's compact and it even opens up to f1.4. On the longer end, I have this Viltrox, again, 75mm f1.2 Pro for Nikon Z-mount APS-C bodies. This is also an amazing lens. It is in Viltrox's Pro line of lenses, so it's metal. It has that very wide f1.2 aperture, and 75mm on APS-C provides you an effective field of view of 113mm. And I like that length for portraits, which you can see that we did here with the Nikon Z7 because Raymond refused to use the Z30 at the point. Anyway, the Z7 has a full frame sensor with 45 megapixels, but in APS-C mode, it retains 20 megapixels, and these images look amazing. I envision this lens to be my B-roll and product photography lens on the Z52. And then we have a whole slew of full frame Z-mount lenses that we can use on the Z52. More Viltrox prime lenses with wide apertures, the Nikon 24 to 70mm f2.8, the Nikon 70 to 200mm f2.8. I think I'm also going to purchase the Nikon 600mm f6.3 lens soon, so we have no shortage of other lenses to use on the Z52, but those three-ish lenses that I mentioned will be mounted on the camera the most. You may notice that I did not mention the Nikon 18 to 140mm f3.5 to 6.3 that I borrowed with the Z52 and I used for my review of the camera. I do really like this lens, and I think it is a really, really wonderful option to go with this camera, but like I just said, we have a bunch of Z lenses, so I don't think this will get the use that it deserves. We really do just need a few purpose-built lenses for this camera body, where the 18 to 140 is a do-it-all that just wouldn't quite fit the bill for my uses of this camera. Okay, moving on. What are we selling to make room for and to help fund this camera? Number one, the Sony ZV-1. This I purchased years ago, but I have not used in a long time because I just don't like the colors coming out of the Sony cameras. Sony's colors are just not as natural looking as other brands like Nikon. So while it is a good camera, I just don't use it anymore. And we're also planning to sell the Z30 and possibly the 16 to 50mm kit lens. Again, this is a great camera, but the lack of a viewfinder is a real hindrance for Raymond, which becomes a problem for me when I'm trying to direct him to capture photo and video of me, but he's struggling with the camera. Plus, the Z52 has some added video features that I'm actually really excited to use. So these 2 or 3 items won't cover the entire cost, but will get us most of the way there. And that's all, my friends. I do adore my new little camera. I really like the few lenses that I will be using on it, like this Viltrox 35mm f1.7 Air. Thank you to Viltrox for supporting this channel by sending us lenses to use and by sponsoring a portion of this video. Viltrox does offer lenses for numerous camera mounts, so even if you don't use Nikon Z, definitely check them out. I don't have one lens from them that I wouldn't recommend for daily use. I will link to this 35mm in the description, but from there, you can find everything else. And let me know what you think of this lens. Would it fit into your kit? Well, I mean, it's physically so tiny that it would fit into nearly any camera bag, but do you think you would use this lens? Share your thoughts. And thank you for watching.